Welcome to Home, Space and Reason, a podcast about creating a home that thrives.
Hi there, I'm Christina Browning, your host. If you know your home could be so much more than it is, I discuss home functionality, aesthetics, and automation. I'm a realtor in Portland, Oregon, and a home functionality coach. I geek out on every subject imaginable regarding your home and yard, challenging you to think of your space differently to get the most out of every square foot. I pose questions for you to think through about your space and your reason. This podcast is all positive, offering you virtual fist bumps and celebrating every win. Remember, there's no such thing as perfect, but you can still aim for your best every day. Join me on social media by searching for the handle Space and Reason. What is the real cost of something as it relates to your home? Not just monetarily, but in time and in quality of life. It's an interesting thought that I wanted to pose today. The choices you're making about the new hot tub, the new upgraded version of the same coffee pot, the dry sauna you might want, or the Peloton bike. Every new toy, every new purchase, even if it's not a toy, comes with the responsibility of storage and maintenance or cleaning. From a stuffed teddy bear, do you have room for that? How many do you have already? Do they play with them? To a hot tub. Sounds fantastic. The idea of soaking in hot water on a chilly evening is appealing. In my late 20s, we got one. But then the reality set in. Maintaining it was work, and my life was already busy. I didn't want another chore on my list. Adding chemicals, scrubbing the spa. And then I found myself not wanting to make the brutally cold trek from the hot tub back into the house once I was warm and relaxed. So we went in less and less. I read an article recently by Rebecca West titled, "Does Owning More Stuff Make You Happier?" And she writes, quote, "Every day we have to make choices, but it's rarely about right versus wrong. More often, the choices we're making is simply about how we will spend our time. Most of us, at least in the United States, have the luxury of free time. We don't need to haul water from a well, scrub clothes by hand in a river, or hunt for our dinner. With this freedom comes the ability to choose how we spend our time. Unfortunately, sometimes we make choices that trap us in a lifestyle we really don't want." End quote. I have mentioned the lure of owning land in previous episodes, where my clients express the desire to live in a home where they can't see the neighbors and they have more privacy. But then the other side to that coin is you'll likely be much further from amenities like a grocery store or a home improvement store, and you'll spend a higher percentage of your time on off-grid type stuff. With nature comes rats, coyotes, cougars, infestations, and time thinking about things like pumping the well. There is always a trade-off. Always. Next, I want to pivot to tell you about something I learned about recently called habituation. I listened to a podcast by Mel Robbins about it, and in the episode titled How to Make Your Life Exciting Again, she's joined by the renowned neuroscientist from University College London and MIT, Dr. Tali Sharot. I'll put a link in the show notes. It's so very good and absolutely worth a listen. What I learned from the studies she talks about is that novelty, or the desire for novelty, is wired into us. The first time we do something is always the most fun, and then each time thereafter, we are habituating to the experience. And since we are getting used to it, so to speak, it feels less exciting. Numerous studies show that people are happiest when experiencing a novelty or a first. So, although this episode absolutely discusses how to make your life more exciting, what I heard was more of a cautionary tale, the opposite. Don't buy the hot tub. Instead, go on a trip to an Airbnb where you can use a hot tub for a weekend. The novelty will wear off and you don't have to maintain it for the rest of your days. If the lure of that car you've always wanted is in reach, the $85,000 price tag will likely hit the same as a $35,000 vehicle in just a couple of months. Because no matter what the item, no matter how fancy the home, we all become used to it. The pleasure decreases as time goes on. You won't be any happier in that $1 million home than you are in a $750,000 home, because you will habituate. You will get used to it. So fascinating. It's human nature. We all crave firsts. But once you replace that kitchen with the one you think you want, and it's great, and you enjoy it, the shine wears off, and eventually you feel very much the same because you have habituated. It's a cautionary bit of information about us as humans that can be used to really think through whether the spend is worth the payoff. Looping back now to my earlier point, how are you spending your time? If the purchase, even many months in, will change how you spend your time in a positive way, then that's a check mark in the plus column. If the purchase requires both the financial investment and maintenance, something maybe you don't enjoy, then that could be a check mark in the negative column when doing a list of pros and cons. The most valuable things aren't what you buy, but the wisdom you gain from the choices you make. And now for questions to ask yourself about your home space and your reason. Question number 1. Are there tools and toys taking up space and costing me money that are being underused? Could someone else make better use of them, freeing up your time and your energy? It's hard to gift something forward after we've spent money on it, but remember, the cost doesn't stop at the purchase. Maybe easier, the next time you find yourself about to make a purchase, ask, will this bring enough joy, real, ongoing joy, to justify the time, energy of maintenance, and money it will cost me? Isn't that a good question? I swear to you, I'm going to listen to this very episode myself when I'm thinking about buying something. Question number 2. Imagine me in the home I am dreaming of, or driving the car I want, or using that item I'm considering buying in 3 months, 6 months, a year. Was it worth it after I got used to it? Or do I feel like I would have rather skipped the expense and still had the safety of that money in my bank account? Question number 3. How would I spend my free time if I could do anything? And how should that inform my purchasing choices? In episode 83, I discuss the ability to edit and what to do with the things you don't want or need. Paring things down can be difficult sometimes, and this episode is meant to be revisited every time you need to sort an area. And maybe you'd like me to think out loud with you. I'll put a link in the show notes to that episode, number 83. Another episode I think you might enjoy is episode 61, a story about breast cancer, home, and healing with guest Rachel Weber, digital deputy editor of Better Homes and Gardens. Learn about the choices she made in her home and the things she learned along the way. If you happen to know someone in the market to buy or sell in the greater metro Portland, Oregon area, kindly send them my way. The finest compliment I could ever receive is the confidence of your referral. I'm a licensed realtor in the state of Oregon and a home functionality coach nationwide. If you haven't had time yet to drop a quick rating and a review, it would mean the world to me. It's like the little engine that could. I don't spend a lot of time promoting this. It's all you guys that have gotten this podcast to where it is today, with over 100,000 downloads and listeners in over 100 countries. Thank you, my friends, for subscribing and helping me spread the word. I hope today brought you some joy in some way. I hope you'll have something delicious to drink and have the company of someone you hold dear. Thanks for joining me, and I'll meet you back here for the next episode. Watch yourself talk. You're worth it.